Alright guys, so here I want to take you through the process of how this outfit was made. So stay tuned and watch to the very end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. So let's get to the sewing process proper.
Okay, so the first thing I am doing here is to cut the basic bodies, so which I have previous videos on how to cut this. But here you fold the fabric, mark 4 inches, and then apply your top length. You get your top length from there, and the next is to check if the folding is correct. So here I'm adjusting this folding to the point of my chest over 4 plus extra 2 inches, right? So the chest I have is 46 divided by 4 is 11.5, then plus extra 2, that's 13.5. So here you get your armhole. The armhole formula is chest over 4 minus 1 because we are dealing on 3/4 sleeve. So here you make your shoulder plus extra half an inch and then slants from that point by 2.5. Mark your neck depth and your neck width. Connect as shown. The formula is on my previous videos. Make do well to check it out and then mark out through this way. Take your armhole curve and connect in this form. So I have taught severally on how to cut this basic body. So if you still don't get it, please watch my other videos on how to get these actual bodies. This is just for emphasis sake. So here I will cut out from this point and then cut out through to this very point. Cut all along this way. So once the front panel has been cut, then the next you will do here is to cut the back panel as well. So here I am bringing my fabric as well and then folding all through this way, making sure that the chest folding, the fabric folding is still in the same measurement I used in the front panel. And then here I will cross check the folding and then place the back panel, making sure as well the back panel has 1 inch extra at the baseline, and then iron out properly all through this way. Iron it out all through this way, and then you go through the process of raising the back neckline by 2.5 and then 2.5 as well. So raise it all through that way and then tilt your ruler in this form, mark a neck depth of 1.5, and then from here you carefully connect in this way. So this is how you must mark your back neckline. So like I said, I'm just showing this for emphasis sake. So if you really want to learn this in detail, kindly go through my previous videos. Then you arrange this area. Just repeat the same process you are seeing right here. Repeat the same process.
I grab my sketch and make the line. Patterns flow like vintage wine. Dress in colors bold, refined. With fashion art I'm intertwined. From the canvas to the screen, styling dreams like you've never seen. Textures blend in harmony, creating fashion symphony. Hey there, folks, don't be shy. Hit that like, subscribe, apply. Comment down if you feel fly. Mystery defined is standing by. Outfits popping in daylight, mixing shades to feel just right. Drawing styles that take their flight. Fashion spark ignites the night.
One of the major problems fashion designers do have is on sewing or stitching. You and I will believe or we know that aside the struggle of cutting, most people might have learned cutting, or with the help of my YouTube tutorials, your cutting might have been perfect, but most people might not have the money to enroll in any mentorship class or enroll in any physical training. So this video is going to show you some tricks or hidden ways you can use to achieve a perfect outfit. So right here, I have already cut my senator outfit, and this is how I prepare my clothes before I start sewing. Now I will show you the parts or the components one after the other. So it's now left for you to go through my old videos and get to the cutting stage. Please bear in mind, all my cuttings are the same as long as you are making a basic senator outfit. Now the design you are going to see here will be on the monogram. So let me show you what I'm trying to explain. So here, this is the monogram design, and which you are seeing how it's being done. So this was achieved with this. This is a flap, and right here I have the pockets, the breast pocket or the chest pocket. So this is how it looks like. So I will go through the components one after the other, and this is the front panel. This is the front panel. The front panel. So I gummed it inwards. Look at how I gummed it. You know, you have to gum the inside. So this gumming is very essential. So the width of the gumming is 5 inches or 4 inches width, but the length of 15 or 16. The length of this flap, that's the length of this stuff, right? In some cases, it might not really get to the end of the flap, but then it's possible that you should get way almost to the end of the flap. So these are the pockets, the side pockets, and this is the piping or the bias. And here, this is the sleeves. I've already folded and I hemmed it, right? So I hemmed it. And this is the back piece, the back block. And look at the fancy facing I added inside. This is a vintage fabric I used to cut the interfacing inside. So the measurement of this interfacing from the neck depth, 6 inches down, and then from the neck edge here, 4 inches this way. Then you curve, you achieve this. I use hemming gum to hold it. Before then, you must have weaved the edge of this interfacing properly before you hem with your hemming gum. So I will go in detail to explain how you can join this, show you the tricks you use to achieve this. Let's get down to the sewing proper. Alright guys, so welcome back. Now here we want to start the fixing of the flap. That is the first thing you will do, right? Now on the flap fixing, there is one particular thing you need to do, and which is very, very important. If you don't do it, you will have issues on your outfit, and that issue will be your flap will be overlapping on each other. So how do you avoid that? So when you have gummed the front panel of your outfit, just like I have done right here, this way, so you're going to mark 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch, and then here you measure 7 inches or 6, but I like using 7 so that I will have 1 inch extra to lock it back. 7 inches this way, and here will be less than 1/4, right? Just in this form, 7 inches, and there will be less than 1/4. So here is 7 inches, and here will be less than 1/4, and then you are going to cut it out. So before you cut it out, make a V notch right there. From here, a V notch deep down inside there, and then cut out from the 1/4. Your hand will be reducing as you are going down until you get to that point. So look at the shape what I have cut out. See how it looks like the up area is bigger than the one down, right? And once you have done that, make sure that your notching is like 1/4 again inside. And after that, the next you will do now is to fix the inner flap, the tiny one. Now the tiny one is always on the left hand side of your outfit, like when you are fixing the fabric on the left hand side, but on the real fabric, on the right part of the fabric is where you fix the smaller flap. So I prefer using vintage to do this.
So the vintage measurement I had here is the finishing here is half an inch or 3/4 swell, right? And then you fold this way, half inch first, use hemming gum, hold it in. You can still use collar gum to do it, but then hemming gum is preferable because it's meant to be light. And then fold half an inch and then fold again, hem it all through, and then trim the excesses and leave this left. So this left here will be used to turn it over. So we are going to place this inside just like this, and then stitch from the back. So we're going to stitch from the back. So stitch from here and make sure it's held evenly. Stitch all through this way. Stitch all through this way. And then stop at that notch point. Cut your threads. Cut your threads. So also make sure that your notching is reaching to that same point where your threading stops, right? After you have done that, then turn it inwards, just like this, and then you lock. So here you stitch all through from here. You stitch all through from here, making sure that it's properly held. So gently go through this whole processes. So this video will be a long video. I will urge you to watch the very end, and don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you derive value from this. So once you arrange it properly, then that angular stuff here, you bend it backwards. This stuff here, bend it backwards, and then you sew it down. You sew it down. So gently do this, right? Don't be in a haste, please. Carefully do this. Don't be in a haste. So stitch all through to the very end. So this is how it is. Then cut the excesses right here, and this is what you have, right? And then you bring the main flap. This is the main flap here. You bring the main flap, and then make sure it's also gummed, folded in this form. Look at the folding. I have previous videos on this, on how to fold flap, so the design does not matter. The folding remains the same, so you can check it out in my previous uploads. Then place it. I just want to drag this to come up after I will say gum me back, so that I will have more space to sew this. So place it half an inch all through this way as well. So this will be equal with the neckline, and then start from there to sew. Start from there to sew. So carefully do this. So this is the flap installation. So make sure the notch point is half an inch exact. cut your threads, cut your threads, and then turn it over to the front, just like this. And then stitch. Making sure that this is lapping exactly at the underneath and arranging your flap properly, as you can see how it is, right? So it's something that you must carefully do. Please don't be in a haste. So stitch all along this point. Stitch all along these points, making sure that it's lapping at the midpoint as well. So stitch all along that line. And then when you get to this point, the next you will do now is to arrange the underneath, making sure that the neckline is equal with this, just like this. Then lap it properly and drag down the excesses just this way, making sure that everything is balanced, right? And then you sew. You stitch to the very end. So by this means I have used now, your flap must correspond. It cannot overlap on each other, like going inwards. So make sure as well you measure 6 inches, 6.5. That is where you stop from the neckline. 6 inches, 6.5. This is where you stop from the neckline. So you end it in any design or style of choice. So that's how you fix your flap. Cut your threads, and there you have to go and iron out properly. So your flap has been fixed nicely. Look at it. This is the beauty of what I have been trying to explain to you. As you can see that this flap now is relaxing on top of each other without the under ones going inside excessively, just like this in most cases, like most people do have issues with. So this is how you do your flap. Okay, done. So we want to join the back shoulder to the front shoulder. So I will show you one of the best things you can ever do. Here, you bring your back panel, the one you have already put your interfacing, right? So this one here we have is for decorative stitch. So you are still going to stitch all right round to this very point. So I will stitch this, then I'll come back to show you what next to do. So now I have sewn right round. So now the next we're going to do here is to join the shoulder. So you bring the front panel and place in this form, and then you bring the back facing. You bring the back facing, and then you join. So the back facing, you bring it and face the right side to the right side of the front panel. So this here will be this way. It will be this way. So you make sure you hold the 3 edges together here, just like this, and then you're going to use hemming gum to hold this together. So you bring hemming gum, you are going to sew on top of the hemming gum. So you actually take your time to arrange the panels properly. Arrange the panels properly alongside with the hemming gum. So once you arrange it properly alongside with the hemming gum, the next you will do now is to sew. You sew it down by half of an inch. Sew it down all through this way. Sew it down all through this way. So you carefully stitch it down all through this way. Make sure that the hemming gum is being placed at the front, at the facing, right? Like on top of the back facing. This is where it's being placed. So the essence of this hemming gum right here is when you turn it over to the back and then you iron, it helps to seal, to make hair to relax properly. So you don't need to top stitch the shoulder anymore. So this helps to reduce the threads that are visible on the shoulder region of your outfit. So once you have achieved this, do the same process on the other side. So here now I want to iron the shoulder. Bear in mind the hemming gum has been used to join the shoulder, right? So look at how it was placed, just this way. So I'll turn it over this way around and make sure I use my ironing board to hold it firmly, and then make sure it's lapping, no squeeze or rumples should be there. Arrange it properly and then bring a piece of fabric, place on top just this way. The fabric you're placing is to make sure that it doesn't shine or stain the outfit. Then iron with your steam iron all through this way. Make sure that the ironing is very smooth. Look at how it is. There will be no need again to top stitch the shoulder. Look at the underneath, look at how it is. So do the same thing as well on the other side. Also make sure you arrange it properly. Make sure that there's no folding or squeeze or whatsoever. Also don't forget to drop the fabric on top and then you iron all through this way as well. So make sure the ironing is properly done. So once you have ironed this is how it is right there. So the next thing you will do here now is to comb the back facing. But before then, let us apply hemming gum at the underneath. This hemming gum is optional, but it's advisable that you do it because it gives your work an effect that the stitching will be smooth and nice. So place one strand only underneath the back facing, cover properly, making sure that there's no squeeze or whatsoever, and the center line of the back facing must correspond with the center line of the outfit. Just this one, right? It must correspond. So it must correspond, and then you put iron. So right here, you make sure hemming gum is placed underneath here, right? Underneath here, hemming gum will be placed here, and then you iron. You iron nicely. You iron nicely. So when you're doing this, you are seeing that everything about your sewing will be coming out nice and fine. You can as well observe that the shoulder was ironed and there is no need to top stitch anymore. So this is how it should look like. And then you place your outfit in this form. Then make sure you drag it down in this form, and then you give it a good press on the shoulder region. Give it a good press on the shoulder region. Good press on the shoulder region. You also give it a good press as well on the other side of the shoulder as well. This ironing you are giving it now is going to help relax your outfits. You know, this is a process that most people don't do, and they think the outfit can come out nicely without iron. It's not possible. Once you're making milk oats, you must, it's a sew and iron something, right? You must sew and you iron alongside. You see, ba? So everything must be properly taken care of. So after you must have taken care of all these things at this stage, so the next thing you will do right here now is to trim your shoulder and trim the neckline of your outfit. Trim your shoulder, trim the neckline before you go ahead to fix your sleeve. So on the shoulder trimming, all you need to do is to fling it over this way around, turn it over this way, and then make sure you apply the same shoulder you use in drafting. So the shoulder I used in drafting was 19, so I will mark 19, then add extra half an inch that I will use to join the sleeve. So right here, shoulder is 19. 19 divided by 2 is 9.5. Then plus half an inch to join the shoulder, that sleeve, that's 20, that's 10. So this inch is what I will use. Then the deepest part of this armhole trimming will be on the front armhole. If you observe, the front armhole will be 1 inch shorter than the back armhole. So this 1 inch armhole depth here, this is the actual armhole that you need. Then from there, you go all through to this very point in this form, you know. So the reason I'm using chalk is to show you the movement so you don't get confused. So you make sure the both shoulders are arranged properly, just like this, and then you trim. You carefully trim the armhole all through this way. So you have trimmed the armhole now, and then you give a notch. Give a notch at this point. You give a notch at this point. So the next you will trim now is the neck. So the neckline, if you observe, there are some back parts coming out from this area. So just hold it from this direction, and then you go half an inch or 3/4 inch down, and then trim the back neck, and then make sure it corresponds with the front neck edge in that way. So after you must have done the neck and shoulder trimming, it's now time for you to pipe your neck and then fix your sleeve before we proceed to the main other areas as well. Now, on the piping aspect, you must have seen the others area. So here is the piping which I have prepared. So I also have a video on how to cut this. If you don't know how to do it, kindly watch the previous videos I made to learn how to do this. Now it's advisable that you just give a notch somewhere here in order to enable this to lap properly, then fold. Then when you fold, you tuck it in, not at the midpoint, not at the middle, but rather at the first fold you made, this one. So here we have this neat finishing. Then you carefully thread. You carefully thread. So you carefully make sure you insert your piping inwards. Carefully thread. Carefully thread, and then go gradually, go gradually, go gradually. Because of the nature of this fabric, it tends to be stretchy, so you just need to control the material, because this is Jonkoso and it's kind of elastic. So this is now the cut of the end, then cut like half an inch or a quarter inch off, then fold it again, and then still make sure you give that same center notching. Fold this way, and then tuck it in on the first fold. Carefully do this, don't be in a haste. And then you sew. And then make sure you double thread again. So you sew the tip of the piping. So you can sew like 3 lines, 2 lines, or 4 lines, depends on your choice.
So right here, I have sewn the neckline. This is how it is. So I will fix the sleeve, and then I will now go and iron the neckline at once, remove the armhole before I proceed. So on the sleeve joining, you make sure you notch the sleeve as well, and then start from the notched point to the notch line. Mark, join the notch to notch together, and then start from that same position to stitch it down. So here you arrange properly, and then use half of an inch, and make sure that you straighten the hand and the bodies of the outfit to be like a straight line, so that the sleeve joining will align properly. So you see that, so it's enough. So this must reach here. Make sure you arrange it, and then sew all through to the very end. So after you have done this, the next you will do now is to stitch the other end, and then repeat the same process on the other sleeve. You go ahead to weave, then before you start locking the body. So you carefully do this. So stitch all right round. So make sure you get to these very points. So this is what it is. So you will repeat the same process
on the second sleeve. So look at how the sleeve fixing come out. So make sure that you must have also sewn the back facing first before you join your sleeve, right? So this is how the sleeve is. So now on the sleeve turn up you have folding you have made, you can decide to run threads on the hand, it's your choice. However, the decision you want to make is your choice. So I think we are going to run some threads on the sleeve, right? So this can also be done before you join to the body of the outfit. But however, once you have not locked it, you can still do it at any time. So this thread now is kind of a decorative stitch that we are making on the body of the outfit. You can run 2 or 3 lines just to give it that nice finishing, right? So you can decide to run one at the middle and then one somewhere at the tip. So here, somewhere here, you run the second thread in, somewhere at the middle, run the second thread in. So this middle one can be doubled. It can be doubled, right? This middle one can be doubled. So this is just to add kind of beauty to the outfit. So look at the finishing I have here. So I think it's enough. So let's do the other sleeve and then we proceed to the other aspect of the sewing. Alright, so here we have weaved the armhole. Now the next we're gonna do now is to mark the body measurement, then lock. So what you just have to do here is to, from the center of the outfit, apply your whatever measurement you have on the customer's bodies. So here I use 46 in my cutting. So you mark 46, that's 11.5, right? So you check what is left, around 1.5 is left. So you can actually take 1.5 inch off on both sides. That's the simplest way. But make sure you cross-check your measurements in case, in some cases, fabric that do shrink or that do expand, you will now know what you have actually left. So after that, you apply the round sleeve of your client. So the round sleeve we have at the tip of the sleeve here, we have it to be 14. That's 7, right? And then at somewhere at the middle, that's the bicep area, we have it to be 15. That's 7.5. So you mark accordingly, and then after which you now joint. But then the most important thing here is the tip of the sleeve must be exact of what you have on customer's outfit. So here you start from there to stitch, then make sure that the 2 armhole pattern here must correspond just this way, and this sleeve joining must face the sleeve and not facing downwards. This stuff here must face the sleeve, both the front and the back must face the sleeve, and it must lap in this form. So you carefully arrange it through this way and then go all along that direction. So this is where it is. So you lap it all through here and then stitch from that very point. Then from your armhole depth, you are going to determine the side slit opening, or better still, from the hemming you determine what you have left. Whichever way you want to do it is still very much acceptable, right? So here you arrange your outfit, so you measure. So because this will have a side pocket, okay, let me just sew first, let me stitch first. So because this will have a side pocket, so the armhole, the side closure will be long enough in order to accommodate the side pocket point. So I will do it at point 20. I will sew till point 20. So here, or better still, you can just start from the hemline, these 4 inches used in the hemming, and measure 6 inches or 7 inches. Though let's use 7 inches high, 7 inches high from that 4 inches base. That means from this point to this point is 11, right? It's 11, right? 11. So stitch and stop here. So do the same thing on the other side. So do the same thing on the other side. Then after you have done that, you can now trim any excesses here if there is. Then weave, and then you go ahead to what's it called? You go ahead to fold or hem. At this point, after you have weaved the sides, then you fold this hem by 2 inches or 2.5, and then you iron. Then you put hemming gum on it and you hem. Here I am done with the hemming. Right, so I hemmed it all through. Then the next to do now is to put your pockets. So you measure from your armhole depth. You measure 10 inches or 11, depends on the top length, and then place your pockets at the side and then stitch round. From the armhole depth here, measure 10 inches down, fix your pockets, and then make sure that it does not exceed the slit opening here. So the pocket should not exceed here, it should go before this opening here. So I will do that and show you the results.